my first real paying job from somebody else besides family was at the Rathskeller in Salt Lake City. I was a pizza cook, and then I graduated and went to when I was in college. I went to Geppetto's and worked at Geppetto's across from the university, and that was a wild scene back then. I was a pizza cook, and so yeah, I've been making pizzas a lot, but this is a whole different thing. I mean, I've done some research, and now I understand a little bit more about pizza. I've eaten a lot of pizza, so that makes me somewhat of an expert.
So we sprinkle the yeast over the water, and then we add 4.5 cups of flour, teaspoon and a half of salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then this is the secret, is you got to let it sit in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours. I like to do more than 24 hours just because it makes it better. But once you've done that, then you get a real beautiful dough, and you can stretch it really thin. Now, the other secret is you have to take this dough out and let it rest. So I'm pulling it out. I'm going to cut it into quarters. It'll make 4 pizzas. And then you got to let that, the one you're working with, come up to room temperature. So after it's sat there, I usually leave it 3 hours to come back to room temperature. Look at this. So easy to just stretch out, and it gets that window painting, which is a translucence. You can almost see through the dough, and it's really, really nice to work with. Not like the mass-produced pizzas that I made in my youth. And you can stretch it. And if it's not stretching easily, just let it sit for a little while, and it'll, as it warms up, you'll be able to get it nice and thin like you like it. I crimp the edges too, just to kind of keep the ingredients in. You don't really need to, but if you don't, sometimes it spills out, and I don't like that. I don't like my pizza stone getting, spilled pizza on it, because then the next one kind of sticks. And then, okay, so I make a mistake here. Be prepared to watch it. I usually put olive oil on the crust next, because that'll help sort of seal it against the sauce so it doesn't get too gooey. And here you realize I made the mistake, and now I'm going to have to go and get the olive oil and put it on. But the olive oil really helps to kind of, I coat the crust with that, and then that kind of seals that crust so that it stays nice and crispy and doesn't get soggy with all the tomato sauce on it. But in this case, I just have to implement phase 2. And I don't use a lot of sauce. You don't want too much sauce, because then it gets the crust soggy. This is actually a little bit more sauce than I would normally use right there. And then start to put the mozzarella cheese in. And you'll notice I don't put a lot of mozzarella in. I tear it up because, again, you don't want a gooey pizza. You want a crisp crust, and you want that cheese nicely. It'll melt and spread out, so you don't need to use a whole bunch. If you're buying the sliced mozzarella, I usually use maybe a slice or just a little bit more than a slice. And now we're ready to go into the oven. I roasted eggplant. Oh, I love eggplant. So this one's going to be an eggplant pizza. I roasted eggplant, and we're going to put the eggplant onto the pizza now. Roasting the eggplant while you're heating your pizza stone in the oven. The pizza stone, that's the other thing. You want to get it good and hot, usually an hour. But these, after it comes up to temperature and you're roasting your eggplant anyway, it's heating the stove. And then I put a little oregano on it. I like the way oregano makes it taste. And also, I like to put a few little breadcrumbs on. I sometimes will put panko on. That's, I guess, from Sicily. They used to do that to kind of make the cheese go further. And I just like the way it soaks up some of the sauce. so the sauce isn't runny, and it also, it gives it a nice texture. And we're ready to go into the oven, and out it comes. And I put Parmesan and Romano that I grate myself, the Costco lifestyle, on top, and it'll melt right into the top of the pizza. I put it in right at the end. And here's a margarita pizza. And here's a barbecue chicken pizza with jalapenos. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's all part of the adventure. See you next week.